So, somewhere along the way, a lot of us stopped living in our homes and started using them as storage units for guilt, memories, just in case items, and enough duplicates than the candle aisle at Target. And now we're over here keeping things for people who don't want them, saving dishes for dinners we no longer host, and stressing ourselves out in houses that do not feel good to be in. So today, we are going to talk about 6 common beliefs keeping people stuck with way too much stuff and how to finally let those beliefs go for good. Hey there, my name's Tracy Lynn, and I teach people how to right size their homes so they fit the lives they're living right now. And in today's video, we are going to talk about 6 very common beliefs that are keeping so many of us stuck in place with just more stuff than our houses can hold, and why letting go of those beliefs is usually harder than letting go of the stuff itself. All right, let's dive in. First up, belief number 1. I paid good money for this. Oh, this one kept me stuck for years because apparently I thought the money was going to come back if I kept the item long enough. I know it sounds crazy, but honestly, that's how I thought about it. So I used to can all the time when my boys were younger and we had our small hobby farm. I had shelves crammed full of jars, lids, canners, rings, supplies, and enough to survive a tomato emergency at any moment. But over the years, my life changed. My kids grew up and moved out. My routines changed. My energy changed. And I stopped canning the way I used to. Well, actually, towards the end, I stopped canning altogether, but I still kept all the supplies. Not only did I hang on to them longer than I should have, but I brought them with me when we moved. I actually lugged all those boxes into one of our storage units. But oh, it gets so much worse. I then tried to squeeze them into our empty nester home, even though I was not planning on canning ever again. Looking back now, I can't believe I did that. Like, hello, what exactly was the long-term plan here? Well, actually, I think I know what the plan was. Jars are expensive, right? So were my canners. So were all the gadgets I bought over the years. And in my mind, getting rid of them meant I was throwing money away. But then a really good friend said something to me that hit home. The money was gone the day I bought the jars. Wow, because she was right. Keeping them wasn't saving money. It was just using my house as a storage unit for guilt. Because let me tell you something, nothing says peaceful, relaxing home like having to move dozens of jars just to get to your roasting pan. And the craziest part, half the time we're not even keeping the item because we love it. We're keeping it because we felt guilty about what we spent on it. So here's the right size living flip. Keeping things you never use does not make you financially responsible. It just makes your house harder to live in. And if you're still struggling with the money part of letting things go, I totally get it. Try listing a few items on Facebook Marketplace, or you could even have a yard sale. That way, you're at least recuperating some of the money that is keeping you stuck. All right, that brings us to belief number 2. But somebody gave this to me. Wow, this one is pretty sneaky because now the item is no longer just an item. It suddenly feels tied to a really good person. And listen, I did this too. I used to keep things I didn't even like because somebody gave them to me. In fact, I had a family member give me a ceramic plate years ago. And honestly, even back then, I didn't really want it, but I also didn't want to hurt that person's feelings because she was giving it to me, right? So I took it and I left it in the box it came in. The box she packed it in, I left it that way. I never even opened it. Well, fast forward like 15 years, I'm embarrassed to say. And I was up in my attic just the other day, and I was going through some old boxes in our crawl space, and I found that box that I knew that plate was in. And I decided I was going to open it and actually look at the plate for the first time. And it was like Christmas gone wrong, because once I opened the box, inside that box was a bag. And inside that bag was a bag. And inside that bag was another bag. I'm not kidding you. This thing was wrapped in like 13 layers. And it took me a while before I even got to the plate. And when I did, I still didn't want it. So I put it back in just one of the bags. And then I put it back in the box and I donated it. Because storing it in my attic was no different than letting somebody else actually use it and enjoy it. Here's the truth I want you to hear. It was never going to be a part of my life either way. And I think a lot of people do this, right? We keep things we haven't used in years, letting them take up space we desperately need because apparently part of us thinks the person who gave it to us is going to show up one day and ask where it is. And can we talk about the emotional gymnastics we do with this stuff? We'll store things for years thinking, well, Aunt Betty gave me that. Meanwhile, Aunt Betty probably forgot the item even existed 20 minutes after she wrapped it. So here's what I really want you to hear. Keeping something you do not use or even enjoy seeing displayed in your home every day does not honor the relationship. All it does is fill your house with things connected to obligation instead of things that actually fit who you are right now. Because somewhere along the way, a lot of us started believing we had to keep every gift in forever in order to prove we loved that person. Did I say that right? In order to prove we loved that person. But that's not love. That's guilt pretending to be love. So here's the right size living flip. Be, sorry, my alarm went off. Be thankful someone thought of you and still let the item go if it no longer fits you or your home, because you are allowed to appreciate the gesture without keeping the item forever. And if this one still feels really hard for you, start by letting go of the gifts that are packed away in boxes or hidden in the back of closets or storage units. That way, somebody can actually enjoy them instead of spending another 15 years wrapped in tissue paper or 15 bags in your attic. And that brings us to belief number 3. But I might need it someday. Oh boy, that one right there. This one can turn an otherwise reasonable woman into somebody storing 3 crock pots, 13 extension cords, in a mystery bin full of chargers for electronics she no longer owns. Yeah, that's a true story. Because somewhere along the way, a lot of us stopped preparing for real life right now and started preparing for imaginary situations that are probably never going to happen. And listen, I totally get it. Nobody wants to get rid of something and then suddenly need it 3 days later. That feels terrible. But here's what finally changed it for me. I realized I was making my everyday life harder to prepare for situations that might happen in once every 5 years? That kind of math is definitely not mathing, because now the cabinets are overcrowded and our closets are overpacked. And half the stuff stressing us out every single day is there for imaginary future versions of ourselves. And oh my gosh, you guys, my husband does this with those red Folger coffee cans. So at one point, he probably had 20 of them lined up on shelves in his garage because supposedly they were an organizing hardware for all of his tool shop supplies, right? Well, when we moved, we started bringing those cans down, and I happened to peek in a few of them. And what I found made my jaw drop. Several were completely empty. I kid you not. And a few had maybe 1 or 2 screws rolling around in the bottom. But here's the thing, only a handful were actually being used in the way they were intended. But he kept every single one of those cans because they were great organizers, and he wanted them there just in case he needed them someday. Because apparently a part of his retirement plan involves storing all this amount of hardware in 20 separate coffee cans. But honestly, not poking any more fun at my poor husband, I do think a lot of us do the same exact thing, right? Just in different ways. Like we'll keep the container because we might need a great organizer someday, or we'll keep the duplicate just in case we can't find the original, or we'll keep the backup just in case this first one breaks, right? But some of us may just think our children are going to open an estate box someday and say, thank goodness mom saved 37 casserole dishes. Yeah, I don't think so. And I think this is where a lot of us get stuck because we tell ourselves we're being prepared, right? When really we're just overwhelming ourselves and our homes so badly that half the time we can't even find what we actually do use. So here's the right size living flip. There is nothing wrong with keeping extras, backups, or even duplicates, as long as they fit your home and support the life you're living right now. You just don't want them stressing you out every time you open a cabinet because there's too much in there. So start by looking for areas where duplicates no longer make sense. Okay. So for example, if you have 10 spatulas, but you only use 2, get rid of 8, free up space. If you have a cabinet full of throw blankets in your family room, but you only need 1 for your husband, 1 for yourself, and maybe 1 for your dog, get rid of the extras and free up that space as well. Start in areas where having less would actually make your life easier. Oh my gosh, look at the time. Okay, I don't want this to turn into an hour-long video because apparently I have a lot to say on this topic. So let's call it here for today. And when I come back, I'll share with you the last 3 beliefs that are keeping people stuck. And trust me, you don't want to miss those. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some really good tips to get you back on track to creating a home that fits how you're living today. And if you're struggling with making decisions as you're sorting through things, make sure you grab our new right size decision breakdown guide in the comments below. It's a really helpful mini guide and it will help you to make faster and easier decisions as you get comfortable with the right size living method. And if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do so because I share brand new video every single Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, along with a few helpful shorts throughout the week as well. Oh, and one last thing. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who also might benefit from knowing how to flip these beliefs because that really does help my channel. Okay, now I really am done. So I hope you have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.